there, Buttercups. Your resident Teabelle here. Welcome to Hark, 'tis the Teabelle. Let's dive in for that tea today, huh? Well, hey there, Buttercups. We are now in December, which means we're going to talk about some December-y things. And that means today we are going to talk about some weird Christmas traditions. And when I say weird, I don't mean it in a negative way. I think I just mean it in ways that we don't see it as tradition, right? But let's get on to it. So we're going to start with Japan. And while we go for the Christmas turkey typically, Japan goes for a different kind of poultry. A poultry that you can get Kentucky fried. Yes, you heard me right. That means it is Kentucky Fried Chicken or KFC. Now, this is due to a combination of things, okay? So one is they have very tiny ovens over there, which means that it would be very difficult to cook a 10 to 20 pound turkey. Understandably so. And KFC was very clever in their marketing campaign, which convinced locals that fried chicken is actually a traditional American Yuletide feast. So much so that reservations have to be made to eat at a KFC on Christmas Day. Now, during the run-up, you're going to see Colonel Sanders outside KFC's Japanese outlets wearing Santa gear. Those statues probably remind them that, hey, Christmas is coming, we better get our chicken in. So, they do serve it in special holiday packaging, and demand is at an all-time high that an online service has been created. You can order your Christmas family bucket in advance and have it delivered. How cool is that? We're traveling to Norway now. And Norway, you might want to hide your broom. Norwegians believe that Christmas Eve coincides with the arrival of evil spirits and witches. Well, logic dictates that if this is the case, Norwegian households hide their brooms before they go to sleep. Nothing is going to spoil your Christmas joy quicker than finding your broom in pieces at the foot of the tree. Which, you know, it was trashed by some joy riding witch, right? So the question is, where did we get this started at? Where's this origin story? Nowadays, you're going to find that a lot of people maybe aren't even aware of this tradition, but I have to assume that there are still people who believe this and want to ward off evil, especially on their Christmas Day. Let's travel to the tropical city of Caracas, Venezuela. All right. So, one they have a tradition. I don't know that I could get on board with it because I have no balance. But if you have balance, I think, hey, go for it. Now, in the week leading up to Christmas, Venezuelans attend a daily church service called Misa de Aguinaldo, which is early morning mass. Now, in the capital, Caracas, it is customary to travel to the church service on roller skates. So widespread is this practice, though, that many roads in the capital are closed until 8 a.m. to provide a safe passage to their early morning mass. Now, what is this origin story? So, the skating, or Las Patanatas, is really a truly unique holiday custom where people do strap on their roller skates, right? The tradition dates back to the 1950s and it takes place from December 16th to the 24th. People gather in the pre-dawn hours, often dressed in festive clothing, and skate through the streets while singing carols. Now, there is a charming legend associated with this, as it involves children going to bed with one end of a string tied to their big toe and the other dangling out the window, which would allow passing skaters to tug the string to wake the children up for the event. Now, after Mass, families often conveniently share traditional Venezuelan foods like alacas, pan de jamon, and hot chocolate. There's no exact start of this tradition because it is still a mystery. But it really just started out as fun. It's believed to start as just a fun thing because they could sled. This was their alternative because they were in a tropical climate. And so when you receive skates as a gift, this just seemed like a good way to make it for that. You know what I mean? So if you're in Venezuela and you really, really let's have the bounce and want to skate, you have the opportunity from December 16th to December 24th to do this. So if you're going to skate, skate on, my friends. We've been to Japan, Norway, and Venezuela. Now we're going to go and fly right on over to Austria, where you might need your partner because you'll hold their hands, because we're going to talk about Krampus. Now, Krampus is really the evil counterpart and bad cop to our good Saint Nick. Okay? Essentially, a demon like creature with one task: punishing bad children before Christmas. How does this bad cop look? Well, typically, devil like appearance, roaming the street, carrying change in a basket for abducting, well, especially bad children. And they're going to be hauled off. Now, that is definitely one way to keep the kids off the streets. But this whole thing, Krampus originated in pre Christian Alpine traditions. His name, Krampus, is derived from the German word for claw. Now, we're going to start when Christianity is spreading, and this pagan figure is incorporated into the whole thing. So, we talked about how he was told to look like the devil. And they've described him as demonic goat-like creature with horns, hooves, and a long tongue. He beats bad children, with birch branches, or carries them away in a sack. Now, the whole legend can be traced back to pagan celebrations of the winter solstice. Now, they say it's possibly linked to the ancient Norse mythology as the son of the goddess Hel. Essentially, when Christianity was becoming more dominant, it may have been felt that they needed a bad cop to St. Nick's good cop. Now, the Catholic Church did try to ban Krampus because of his appearance. But the tradition did persist, and it was especially persisting in the Alpine regions of Europe. So here's the tradition. The night before St. Nicholas's Day is known as Krampusnacht, or Krampus Night. If I mispronounce that, I do apologize. On this night, Krampus would roam the streets or visit homes to punish misbehaving children. Now, methods included beating them with birch sticks or switches, and in some more terrifying versions, it would be kidnapping them in a basket to take them away. Now, today, people are holding what is called a Krampus run in Austria and southern Germany. And they're trying to keep this tradition alive by parading through the streets dressed up as Krampus, and it's a Krampus run. In my opinion, even though this seems like maybe a little bit of an extreme way to remind kids to be good, if this is what you celebrate, good luck to you and keep your running shoes on. This next one might be a little bit more dirty, but not in the dirty sense. You'll understand. So, we make our way to Catalonia, Spain, where the tradition of cagatio, or defecating log, is prevalent. So, there are locals in Catalonia where they create a character out of log. They draw a face on it, give it a hat, then they feed it for a fortnight, i.e., giving it nuts, fruits, and sweets. On Christmas Eve, the entire family beats the log with sticks and sings a traditional song that translates to, "If you don't crap well, I'll beat you with a stick," until the log excretes all of its treats. It's hard to comprehend that why this tradition is just not popular everywhere in the world. But they do decorate their nativity scenes with small pooping ceramic Gaganars figurines, usually well-known characters, often drawn from that year's news. The figurines always have pants around their ankles. So, uh, so here in Spain, they are using whatever they're using this. Now, we want to know what is the origin of this, right? The origin is also pre-Christian pagan, with symbols of the winter solstice and agricultural fertility in the Catalan region. It evolved from a large log that families would burn from their homes for warmth. That symbolized renewal and abundance for the new year. Over time, you began feeding a smaller log and hitting it with a stick to poop out gifts. As with many other pagan traditions, Christianity did incorporate it into the Christian Christmas celebrations. Um, and it is now a key part of Catalan Christmas traditions. But it really just goes to the fertility and abundance of it all, the generosity, the gifts. The pooping ritual is actually believed to have come from stoking the fire, and it just means that it's gone. Yeah. This one is a whole fun thing. I would love to hear if anybody has ever celebrated it, where they, like, what happened? What's the, how do I put this? What is your experience with it? Is it as fun as it probably looks? Do you get as many laughs as I feel you get out of it? Let us know. We would love to hear your experience on this. So, Sweden, Buttercups, has what we would call a Yuletide goat. Its origins begin in the 11th century. It's mentioned as a man-sized goat figure that accompanied St. Nick. It's got a lot bigger since then. Cities across Sweden construct their Yule goats at the beginning of Advent every year, with the most famous being in 40 foot tall. I tried to pronounce that name. I looked at the name, but I would definitely butcher it, and I do not want to butcher it. But there's a 40-foot Yuletide goat. Okay. Now, it does attract people who want to turn it into a bonfire, and it has been destroyed on 36 times since 1966. What is this origin story? Okay. So, the Swedish Yule goat, Julebach, tradition has roots in both Norse paganism and harvest celebrations, and it has evolved over the years. Now, initially, it may have represented fertility and protection, was also linked to the god Thor, who was said to ride in the sky in a chariot pulled by goats. Later, it evolved to become associated with Christmas festivities, evolving from a spirit that ensured holiday preparations were correct to a prankster, and eventually becoming the bringer of gifts. So the Norse paganism, it's two goats, Tangrisnir and Tangnurster. I apologize. I know I butchered those. And those were the goats that pulled Thor's chariots across the sky. Also, the harvest symbol that we mentioned, it may be that it's the last sheaf of grain from the harvest, which was believed to contain the spirit of the harvest and was saved for Yule celebrations. Now, we said the 11th century. The earliest sources from Scandinavia mention a straw goat figurine in the context of the Yule, associated with invisible spirit that would check the holiday preparations were completely correctly and completed. So, in the 17th century, it took on a more sinister role, as now it would visit homes and demand food or gifts, or a servant would dress as a goat and cause mischief and tell truths. 19th century is shifted to that of a gift bringer. It still holds that role today, though. In modern day, It's more widely known as a Christmas decoration made of straw typically, and is a thing, it's made of good cheer. It is a symbol of good cheer. In the Yule goat, the connection to Santa is that it was the original bringer of gifts in Sweden, but they later incorporated it to the figurine of Jultomenten, who was a character later merged with the image of Santa. And Jultomenten, I'm sorry guys, I really am sorry, translates to the Yule gnome slash elf and is the Swedish name for Santa Claus. So essentially, what we're looking at, if I'm looking at this from the summarizing point of view, this is now seen as the goat who helps Santa in that making sure that everything is correct and brings the gifts. So, to my goat lovers, cheer on, because now the goat has a very vital role in our Christmas season. Buttercups, I hope that you enjoyed this journey we have been on today, and know that next week we're going to be finishing this journey, okay? So go ahead and put on your traveling outfits, and know that next week we are going to be talking about Guatemala, Ukraine, Portugal, Italy, Czechia, and Germany. So go ahead, pack what you think you need to pack. And when you listen to this episode, I hope that you enjoy it. With that being said, any comments, questions, topics, anything like that can be directed to the Facebook. It can also be directed to Hark, tis the Teabelle at gmail.com. And you can find us on YouTube and Spotify. I look forward to seeing you guys next week, and I hope you have a wonderful day.